So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our Planets Through Ascendant series of the week. And today we're going to be covering Moon in the fifth house in the sign of Scorpio for Cancer ascendant people. And what happens when Moon is in the sixth house in the sign of Scorpio while it rules the ascendant with the sign of Cancer and the 11th house with the sign of Taurus. And as always, if you do not know if you have this placement, what sign it's in, what nakshatra it's in, all the other astrological details, for that check out the links here. Check out my full astrological report, my consultations and books, and link to my academy, Vedic Astrology Academy, where you can view lessons that I have uploaded regarding, from planets to nakshatras to some hidden secrets. So anyway, let's talk about Moon in the fifth house in the sign of Scorpio. So the first thing you understand with this particular placement of the Moon is that this is a Raj Yoga placement. Because the ascendant lord is in the fifth house. It's a very powerful Raj Yoga. And obviously if Venus is with Mars, Jupiter, it's even a bigger Raj Yoga. So obviously one thing we see is that this person, first of all, becomes greatly interested either in study of medicine, law, occult, mysticism, hidden knowledge, and wanting to deal in the secrets of government. They only want to study things that requires research, that requires digging deep into things. They just don't want to study things related to, literature, or even let's say they do study literature. They want to study things which are much more darker, which are much more secretive. Like, for example, this could be a great place for somebody who is like Stephen King, who writes mysteries and horror, suspense. This is a person usually, they could be the eldest sibling in the family. And one of the biggest thing you can see with this particular moon is that a person does not get their Krishna or Krishna does not get their Radha. Which means Radha is female, Krishna is man. So if you're a man, you don't get your Radha. If you're a female, you don't get your Krishna. Meaning what happens is you have a very great, passionate relationship with someone. Okay? And it just does not work out. Breaks your heart. You're completely lost. Okay? But then you find someone who's probably better looking. Much more, romantic than even them, or more committed than them. But regardless of however the circumstances played out, you will always have a place in your heart for that one individual that you had to let go or they let go of you. So even let's say they're in trouble and you knew they're in trouble, you will do probably whatever it takes to help them out financially or help them out emotionally. There's always a sense of devotion towards your Radha or your Krishna. And that's because there's a great lesson here. Moon in the fifth house usually shows a person may have in their past life had many affairs or had an affair on the most perfect person, and in this life they come but they don't end up with them. Especially Moon, because fifth house represents speculation, speculative gains. This is a person that will attain quite a bit of unaccounted wealth through speculative gains. Whether it's sports betting, whether it's, stock market, of course. But they will always keep their wealth unaccounted or wealth hidden from other people. And as much as you might think that this person is not interested in studies, actually this is the person that is interested in studies. Because for them, the entire focus of, their birth, actually, or their existence, is towards finding out secrets, wanting to know and get to the bottom of things and how they're working, what is happening. So even let's say you're an actor, and as much as people think that actors are stupid and dumb, actually they have more knowledge than even the rest of the world. Why? Because they research on certain subjects for certain role, and they go so deep that they become the expert in that. Like I can't think on top of my head certain actors, but I have seen when I back in the early 2000s when I used to watch bonus features of every single movie that I loved, you can see how these actors would get a training into shooting a gun, get a 6-month long training in Jeet Kune Do or martial arts. And after that, they took up martial arts. Like, for example, if you know this actor, literally nobody would have thought of it. Al Bundy from Married with Children. It's a US 90s, 80s, late 80s, early 90s show, which was this fun late night television for all the high schoolers, right? You would never think of this person as being anything but just an actor, but he's actually a martial artist. So these are the folks, doesn't matter if they have education or not, they are intelligent, they want to know things. Oh, but clearly at one point in their life, they will come across Tantra, use magic, use mysticism, use astrology. It will happen. And usually this person will always have a tendency of believing in certain things. And they want to be learning those things. See, 5th house is a house of learning. It is the house of mantras. It is the house of attaining coded language to access God. That's the 5th house, but that's what mantras are. It's a coded language to access the higher dimension. So clearly here, a person, no matter what they're trying to learn, they will always be able to decode things to understand what is the entity behind this. And this is why they can make great investigators and lawyers. They can make great surgeons who kind of just dig deep into things and what the problem is and take it out, Usually you will notice that this person, especially through their work, is able to leave a legacy. They will leave a legacy in their life, and somehow it'll be strongly contributed with the mother. This particular moon also brings in very beautiful spouse as well. I'm not saying every single person will get that, but I would say 70% of the time it has given a person a beautiful spouse and a highly sexual spouse even. But of course, this is just a very basic one planetary thing, because you got to look at Venus and Saturn and all the other placement for really seeing that. But of course, we know that this person themselves will have some deep rooted sexual desire that they need to unwind. And as much as you may think like, well, Saturn here will dull it down. No, Saturn can actually aggravate that even more, because Saturn is the 7th and 8th lord for Cancer ascendant people. So that's the other one side of this particular moon. And usually this particular child growing up would be quite independent. They don't need nourishment as much. They naturally just know what is needed, what needs to be done. And if mother's there, love it. Father's there, love it. But if they're not, they're able to hold their own. They're able to hold their own. Like they naturally have a maturity towards understanding the world. Kind of like how, a crocodile is born through an egg, or a snake is born through an egg. And as soon as they're born, they know where to go, what to do, and how to get their food. It's kind of like that. It's like ready to go. But one thing we see with this particular moon, that such people get very jealous. Jealousy and possessiveness is their biggest hurdle, and usually they inflict that on their children. They hold their children tight. Where are you going? What are you doing? Who you're with? Even when they're like probably 25, they will do that. And this can cause rift with their children. So this is something that if you have this, you have to watch for. Not to be so tight and know every single second where your children are. Sometimes you just have to be, that giraffe or that elephant or cow that lets the, child roam a bit. Set them free a bit. Or not even that. I would say like a lioness. How the cubs, after a while, you're on your own, or especially wolves. You got to be that way in order for them to learn. But this person becomes a way too protective of the children. Okay? So guys, this is my analysis of moon in the 5th house in Scorpio. If you're new to my channel, subscribe below so you don't miss the future series. And if you need consultation, reports, check out the links here, including my academy link where I'm going to be teaching. I'm teaching Dasha right now, but then I'm going to teach this very, very secretive nakshatra technique that I just learned pretty much 4 or 5 months ago, but never told anybody about it because I don't have the permission. So anyway, guys, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.